Hello and welcome to the Relationship Help Show Q&A. I'm Dr. Roberta Shaler, the Relationship Help Doctor, and I wanted to provide this opportunity for you to ask your questions, to get some in-depth help that you might have a pressing question or a burning issue in your relationship, and you just don't know quite where to turn. So I provide these opportunities several times a week. Be sure to subscribe down below so that you will know when I'm online doing this, and you'll get a notice so that if you have a question, you can certainly ask it then and you won't miss anything. And as I've put in the chat window, there are two ways to find me. You can go to forrelationshiphelp.com. Lots of free resources for you there. My blog, links to my videos on YouTube. I have a channel there. Checklists, many things that are there for you. And if you're dealing with someone who is chronically difficult, that's my term for them, people who are chronically difficult as opposed to people who are momentarily difficult, you will know if you've been on my shows before that I trademarked the term hijackals for them. And a hijackal is a person who hijacks a relationship for his or her own purposes while relentlessly scavenging them for power, status, and control. And if you happen to be with a chronically difficult person or a hijackal, you will know by that definition, because you know that they are always looking for power, status, and control. So welcome to the Hello Room, and Jordy, and I'm glad you're here. You'll notice in the chat room I have put links to the things that I'm going to talk about, and also that if you have a question, just type /Q and ask your question, and it will pop up for me so that I can be sure and answer it. And if you do have one of those creatures in your life, a hijackal, and you want immediate help for that, go to hijackals.com. And you can download my free ebook there, and it's called How to Spot a Hijackal, because they're different than somebody who's having a bad day. So one of the features on my website at For Relationship Help is that I have posed many questions there that I am slowly answering through video. And I'm going to start with one of those questions today because it may have some appeal to what you're dealing with. If not, be sure to ask your question. Okay, I'm located in San Diego for those people who might want to know. And I have a large web presence. I also offer free half-hour consultations. So if that's important to you, go to forrelationshiphelp.com/free-consult. So I wanted to open with this question. And I was asked this: I don't feel heard or respected by my partner. What do I need to do to change this? And can I get him to change? So we'll say, can I get him or her to change? Because that's really what we're talking about. The generic idea that when you don't feel heard or respected by your partner, and those two things often go together, but let's take them apart for a minute. What do you do when you don't feel heard by your partner? There's communicating happening. People are speaking, but there's no communication that my message was actually received as I wanted it to be heard, and that the other person is sure that they know what I meant. So let's talk for a minute about how do you feel heard, or how do you actually be the person who can hear better? And it means that we want to be on one end of this spectrum I'm going to speak of rather than the other, especially when the conversations are about difficult things, or that we're fearful of the conversation, or we're concerned that it's not going to go anywhere good. So the spectrum that I'm talking about is, are you listening with the intent to defend yourself or be defensive? Or are you listening with the intent to learn about your partner? What I'd like you to consider doing is train yourself to ask that question in your head when your partner is speaking. Am I listening to find fault or defend myself? Or am I listening to learn about my partner? And I invite you to learn to flip that switch so you're just listening to learn about your partner. That's a very important piece. And many of us are so involved in the fear that they're going to ask something of us that we don't have to give. Welcome, Maddie. That we get all involved in, are they going to make me wrong? Are they going to say something I'm not going to like? And we're not able to listen. We're not hearing what our partner is actually saying because we're so involved in whataboutme.com in our head. So the question is, I don't feel heard or respected by my partner. Well, first of all, let's make sure that we know how to hear our partner and that we are, in fact, listening. Hearing is when your ears are engaged, and listening is when your ears and your brain is engaged. So we want to be able to flip that switch from I'm listening to be defensive to I'm listening to learn about my partner. So that's one side of the equation. The part about not being heard, which is this person's question, was, okay, I'm not being heard. Am I in fact clear about what I want to communicate? That's the first question to ask yourself. Am I actually clear about what I want to say? And the second question is, do I believe I have the right to say this or ask this of my partner? I do a webinar called The 7 Inalienable Rights of Healthy Living, and some of us don't have the first right. If we really look inside ourselves, we don't believe we have the first right, which is to be here and be seen, that we have the right to take up space and draw breath, and therefore we have the right to be assertive about what's going on for us, the right to say, here's how I feel, without having the concern that someone's going to say, oh, you shouldn't feel like that. You weren't asking for permission to feel like that. You were just being assertive. You were sharing something from yourself. And we have that right. You have the right to say what you think and feel and need and want at any time. So it's important to participate in that way when you're thinking in your head, okay, how do I get my partner and I to be actually listening and hearing each other and acknowledging that, and know that the communication actually went from me to my partner and my partner got it. Now, the third thing that takes is time. If we're just kind of missing each other and making remarks on the fly because we don't want to sit down and get into a conversation that might go sideways, we're not going to be heard nearly as well as when we set aside time to communicate with our partners. So the first thing that you do is be clear about what you'd like to communicate and why. And then you know that you deserve to communicate that assertively. And then you deliver it. That allows your partner to hear you, to engage them further so they will listen to you, is to sometimes having to be very direct and say, is this a good time? I have something that I'd like to discuss with you. Not doing it on the fly, not just running through and kind of hoping it lands somewhere, but actually being completely present with your partner and having a conversation. Now, please remember at any time, you're more than welcome to say something in the chat at the bottom right of your screen. Love to hear what you're thinking about it. Love to hear if you have any questions. Don't be afraid of taking it off topic. I'm here to answer your questions. So I will finish my thought and I will answer your question next. So be sure to use that well. So here we are. Our partner's not listening, not hearing us. So I've given you some tips for that. I hope that makes sense. Take responsibility, you be clear, choose a good time, communicate the importance of that person actually listening and hearing you, and you will up the probability that you will be heard. Now, the second part of the question, hello, James, welcome. The second part of the question was, how do I feel respected by my partner? Now, that's a much bigger deal. Because, first of all, I believe something that many other people don't believe. I believe everybody deserves respect just because they breathe. That a value that I hold is that I will be respectful. So therefore, that's all about me. It has nothing to do with the other person. Does that make sense to you? That it's not about that other person earning your respect. You know, you probably heard that. You probably heard that many times. Entertain a new idea. It's not about you waiting for them to earn your respect. Be respectful because that's who you are. That's a great start. And Rhapsody, hello. She says, I think in my own growth, it was more about respecting myself. Absolutely. And you read my mind. I was just going to go there. We can't get respect from other people unless we demonstrate respect ourselves. And that begins with respecting ourselves internally, knowing that we have value. And going back to what I said earlier, knowing that you deserve to take up space and draw breath on this earth. And therefore, you have the right to speak about what I call the 4 main parts of a personal weather report. And you can read about that in my book, Kaizen for Couples, Smart Steps to Save, Sustain, and Strengthen Your Relationship, because it's more about who you are than being a couple. And it's so important to understand that you deserve to say what you think, what you feel, what you need, what you want. And before you can say those 4 things, you need to have spent some time with you knowing what they are. And that you respect yourself enough to say, I will be assertive about this. Assertive is collaborative, cooperative, clear, balanced, present. Aggressive is when you say, and you should be like that too. But first of all, how are you showing up in the world? And you're absolutely right, Rhapsody Rose. That's the first step, is respecting yourself. Then knowing that you have the right to speak up. And then if you don't get respect, know this. Each one of us is 100% responsible for teaching people how to treat us. We're 100% responsible for teaching people how to treat us. And if we don't take that to heart and speak up, then we are creating a deeper hole for the relationship to fall in. So when someone does something that doesn't work for you, don't make them wrong. Speak about yourself. Say, whoa, I feel a little disrespected. That didn't land very well. Gave me a weird feeling. I don't feel equal in the conversation anymore. Speak yourself, not about them. Number 1 thing when you're endeavoring to do anything to fix a relationship, speak only about yourself. That's the starting point. Talk about what's going on with you. Again, what you think, what you feel, what you need, what you want. You have that right. And when you do that, then you can then say to somebody, that doesn't work for me. And here's a trick. I guess it's not really a trick. It's a key to making this all work. Is when you tell them what doesn't work for you, immediately tell them what would. It would feel a whole lot better if I thought that that I get a chance to tell you what I think too. Can we agree to that? Okay, now we're back to equity in the relationship. And so respect is something that, first of all, you have for yourself. Secondly, you demonstrate because it's a value that you hold. So you're respectful of everybody, no matter what they're doing or how they're behaving, because it's about you. And then when people are disrespectful to you, or you don't feel respected, whether or not they intended to be disrespectful to you, you then can say something about it. You can say what you're thinking, feeling, needing, and wanting. And again, if you want to learn a whole lot more about that, read Kaizen for Couples. And that's a funny word. It's a Japanese word, Kaizen. All my books are on Amazon. I've written 16 books, so you can find all kinds of things there. And you can download a sample. So back to the question. I don't feel heard or respected by my partner. So I think we've covered a few things there. And the next part is, what do I need to do to change this? So we've covered a few things there. First of all, look within. demonstrate respect to yourself, because if you can't give a gift you don't have. So if you don't respect yourself, you will not be able to give the gift of respect to other people. And you know how you know that that's going on? It's because when you respect other people, you resent it. You resent it. And that's not great. So that would be a little way for you to tell. Now I'm going to have a little bit of music here in the background because my cell phone is ringing, but that's okay. So what do I need to change this? I think we've covered that a bit. And then the last part of the question was, how can I get him or her to change? Well, you can't. And I know you would really like to. You'd like to think of your partner as malleable, a piece of wonderful clay that you can sculpt into the way you'd like it to be a little bit, but you can't. You're the only person that you can change. And how you change the relationship rather than changing the other person is what you can contribute to. So I've given you some ways to change the relationship. Certainly how you're thinking about yourself in the relationship, thinking about your right to speak up, your right to say what's so for you, and then your right to teach people how to treat you. And when you engage in your end of the relationship, you will see if the other person can or will change. And most often what happens, first of all, they don't notice, but after a little while, when you stick with it, they do notice. And then you can begin to change the nature of the relationship. Yes, Rhapsody. Always change yourself and perception of things. That's what you're in charge of. That's 100% what you're in charge of. And that makes you very powerful. Do you realize that? It makes you extremely powerful when you recognize that you can change anything about yourself, except maybe your height. Yeah, we've got a pretty good number of things that we can change within ourselves that will make our lives different. And often when I'm working with my clients, they think, their problem has become their existence. And finding a way out of all of that is what we do together. So I'll just put this link in the bottom corner there for you. In case you want to talk to me personally, I offer a free half-hour consultation at this address. Oops. There we go. Trying to do 3 things at once. Then, we can talk about your specific situation a little bit further. There's always a way out. We are never stuck. I want you to know that. We are never, ever, ever stuck. We always have choice. Even a person in a jail cell for forever has choice about what's going on in their head and in their heart. We always have choice. And it all starts from within ourselves. So let's make sure that we're exercising that choice. We're not thinking of ourselves as a victim and I'm just a doormat and I am just lying here waiting to have somebody treat me badly. No, you never have to do that. So let me ask now, are there questions that you have? Something you'd like to know or something you'd like me to talk about? Because that's the whole idea of a Q&A, that you can get involved too. And I'll just watch for that. I'm so glad that you're all here. That's great. And asking a question, you can also send me your question ahead of time. Mostly I blab Tuesdays at noon and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings at 9 Pacific time, so that you can get your questions answered. If I find that I need an earlier blab for the East Coast folks, please let me know. But you can let me know all of that by sending me an email to this address. And I'll just make that easy for you. There you go. So if you have a question, if you have a suggestion for the show, a topic you'd like covered, or a question you'd like answered, please use that email address so that I can address it. And then always know too that if you miss the show and you missed your question answered, all of the shows are on Blab. You can go to my page at blab.im/Roberta Shaler. Remember, that's RHOBERTASHALER. Or you can go to my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel is at youtube.com/user/for relationship-help. And they're put up there a couple of hours after the show. So I'll put that there for you too. And there's so many videos out there that have nothing to do with my answering questions, but about a great many other things. So you might find value there. Like I said, lots and lots of free resources for you. Lots of ways to get information that can help you right away. And be sure to get on the mailing list while you're there. I write a newsletter once a week, and it tells you about the blog topics and webinars that are coming up and what's new on YouTube. It's all there. And you'll get a notification when I write a new blog post too, so that you can certainly make sure that you find the answer to your question if you missed it. So no questions in the room. That's interesting. You know, I think that Rhapsody Rose brought up a really great thought when she initially put in the chat window that I think in my own growth it was more about respecting myself. And, you know, we come by that really honestly, any lack of respect we might have for ourselves, because think of ourselves as babies. We so needed other people in order to survive. So we knew that. We knew that coming in. We knew that we weren't like horses and cows. We didn't get spit out, licked off, and then we leapt up and jumped around the meadow. We knew that we needed people in order to survive. And so we get into a position of needing folks. And so over time, as we individuate and we grow, hopefully your self-respect also grows. And you begin to realize that you are different from other people and that you have a right to make that contribution to the world. Again, let me say what I said earlier. Don't talk about other people, not your job, but know yourself really well. Know within yourself what you want to talk about. Know what you need. Know what you want. Know what you think. Know what you feel. And as long as none of those things has the word you in it, you're in great shape. You are then communicating. And you will then be able to demonstrate respect. And you will probably garner a lot more respect too. And that's what we want to be doing. We want to be in respectful relationships where we're giving and receiving respect. But it's all about who you are and how you are that makes the difference. So for any of you that are watching, I think I've made it clear as to how to ask your question. And these blabs do not have to be terribly long. If there's nobody with a question, then I will end the blab for now and start with a new question myself next time. And if you do have a question, I'm going to give you 1 minute to ask it so that we don't miss it. I really invite you to become a subscriber to the blab and also to my newsletter. My newsletter is called Vital Tips for Relationships, and that includes the relationship with yourself, as well as with significant others, family members, people at work, all of that. And you can find my books by going to my website or go on Amazon and just put in my first name, Roberta, RHOBERTA, and you will find all my books there. Many of them are Kindle ready, and you can enjoy them immediately. So, no questions. So until we meet again, which will be at 9 o'clock tonight Pacific time, feel free to go to my 2 websites. If you're looking for relationship help, you can do the top one. And if you know that you're in relationship with a chronically difficult people and you need insights right away, go to the bottom one. And the first thing you will do at hijackals.com is be asked to put in your name and address there so that you can get a free copy of my ebook, How to Spot a Hijackal, a chronically difficult person. So this is Dr. Roberta Shaler, the Relationship Help Doctor. I'm so glad you were here at the Relationship Help Show, and I look forward to seeing you again.